Last week, the first trailer for Joyride dropped. It's a comedy starring 4 Asian women who go on a trip to China to try and reunite one of them with their biological mother. Here are 3 thoughts that I have as a transracial Asian American adoptee. 1. Were any adoptees consulted throughout the filmmaking process? This is a big red flag for many of us in the adoptee community when it comes to representation in media. Historically, our stories have been told by people who aren't adopted, specifically adoptive parents and adoption agencies. And more often than not, the way that these stories are told tends to reinforce the dominant narrative of adoption, which is that it's wholly positive, it is family making, and it is child saving. 2. Were any Asian adoptee actors approached about roles in this film? I understand that Hollywood movies need big stars in order to fill seats and sell those tickets. I can't help but wonder though if someone like Lana Condor, who is an Asian American adoptee and an actor, was considered for one of these roles. It can't help but feel like an oversight if not, because the central plot of the movie is an Asian American adoptee returning to their country of origin and executing a birth search. 3. 2 things can be true at once. This film can be the next big step in on-screen representation for Asian America, specifically for Asian women, and the production team could have done a much better job of being mindful of the adoptee experience throughout the filmmaking process. I've seen a lot of people within the wider Asian American diaspora celebrating this film since the trailer dropped. One of the comments that I'm seeing specifically says, "I would have never seen this type of movie, a raunchy comedy starring 4 Asian women, get made when I was growing up." I get that. I also think it's important to name that many adoptees have had the opposite reaction to the trailer. Specifically in terms of the plot, I've seen a lot of people in the adoptee community naming this fact. They've taken something that's really personal, really intimate, aka returning to your country of origin and executing a birth search, and they've turned it into the central plot of a comedy film. Which, if it's not something that we're laughing with, we're probably laughing at. I haven't seen the film yet, so I can't make a big sweeping judgment on it based on that fact. These are just some of the thoughts that I had after watching the trailer a few times and doing a little bit of research. But I want to leave on this note. I had a friend who was at South by Southwest last week and had the opportunity to attend the premiere of this movie. They are not adopted, but I asked if they'd take a look at the movie and give me a high-level overview of what their takeaway was specifically about the adoptee storyline. This is what they shared. Solid movie. The adoption piece was the center line of the entire story, which was cool to see. Don't know how to really relate to that or say if it's right or wrong because it's not my background, but I will say a younger girl came up during Q&A and started crying because she related to it so well since she's adopted and found out that the agency she was placed by threw out her mother's papers, and it was a super deep moment between her and the cast. I want to jump real quickly back to point 3, that 2 things can be true at once. I can resonate with and feel the power that this young girl felt by being seen and validated for the very first time through this film. And adoptees can have valid criticisms about the portrayal of the adoptee experience in this film because, again, historically, we have not been the tellers or the authors of our own stories. And when we've tried to call folks in on that fact, we've been labeled ungrateful, we've been labeled angry, and much, much worse. All this being said, I think this film provides us a great opportunity to have a much deeper, much more nuanced discussion about how the adoptee community and the adoptee experience is portrayed and represented in media. The question now is, will we?